Hello, everybody. I am Rick.
Oh, wait. I'm Caroline.
I'm Jung.
And this is The Boiling Point.
Man, what a great way to start off the first episode, am I right?
So, those of you who haven't listened to us before, which is everyone,
Nice.
we are three dumb high school students, and we're going to be talking about things such as the news and the politics.
Oh, God.
So, I will get us started on our first topic.
Can we start?
No, we cannot. We
Okay.
do it in one take because we're professionals.
Okay, well
Are
then.
Shut up, guys. We're going to be talking about
We are dumb high school students. We are amateurs.
the Democratic presidential candidates.
Oh, no.
Are we gonna start with that? Or I thought we were starting with impeachment.
Yeah, you're not going in order.
You're not going in order.
We're starting with impeachment.
No, we can start with
because
the
my
candidates.
topic has
That's
been
okay.
impeached.
All right, we can.
No,
Are we
So-
starting?
it's been tabled for later.
The 45th president of the United States, Donald J. Trump,
Donald John Trump.
was recently
Was that actually his
impeached
last name?
by the House of Representatives.
Yes.
Right now, the trial in the Senate is happening.
Yep.
So let's
Fuck
discuss
Mitch McConnell.
that. So Mitch McConnell, or aka Turtle McGirdle, as I would be called.
Turtle McGirdle.
Turtle McGirdle, eh?
So the thing he's been impeached for was a phone call talking about how he withheld aid to Ukraine, to Ukraine.
To the Ukraine.
To
It's
the
the
Ukraine.
Ukraine.
No, it's Ukraine.
No, it's the Ukraine.
It
I
is.
thought that was
Mr. Weinstein said it was the Ukraine.
I thought that's he said what the Soviets called it, and they liked calling it the Ukraine because it's much more like a country. You don't say the United States, you say United States.
Do you not say the United States?
I mean, if it's right in... I
It's
don't
the
know.
United States of America.
Do you say the India?
No?
You say India.
I'm gonna Google it.
Are we really doing this?
We're doing it live.
We're doing it live.
Oh, you dropped the
I
from
was
the
right.
name. Okay, shut up.
Okay. So back to the point.
Back to
What
the
is
point.
the point?
What is the point?
Donald Trump supposedly withheld a bunch of money in military aid from Ukraine unless they conducted an investigation into
Hunter Biden.
Hunter Biden, who is Joe Biden's son, who is a
Joseph Biden.
Hunter Biden is a businessman who had dealings with the Ukraine petroleum company.
Petroleum, yes.
Mm.
Oil companies. He was doing business with oil companies.
And Donald wanted the investigation because he wanted dirt on Biden. Is that right?
Yes, and the whole premise was that Biden, while he was in office with the Obama administration, the prosecutor that was prosecuting the oil company that his son was working for was corrupt.
Mm.
This is Biden's side of the story. The prosecutor was corrupt, and Biden wanted him out of office, and the prosecutor was then removed from the case. And Trump is saying that that's evidence of Biden bribing people and being corrupt himself to get his son out of harm's way, out of the indictment that was happening there.
Mm-hmm.
That might be wrong, though. I'm pretty sure that's right.
Our very well researched politics.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The other side of the story is that the Democrats have been arguing that withholding the military aid to Ukraine was a violation of... No, of course, now I don't remember. But essentially, it's a strategic nightmare, as in 2016, Crimea was annexed by Russia in, quote,
Yes.
very lawful and not piratey means.
Yeah.
And
That's what the Russians say.
Ukraine has been fighting border disputes with Russia, and being the United States and the Cold War having happened, we don't like that. We don't like Russia, and we like people who oppose Russia. Therefore, we like Ukraine and want to help them.
Yep.
And the Democrats are arguing that by withholding the
By withholding aid?
aid, it's doing all the bad stuff. I think that didn't make any sense.
Loud warning noise.
So, now the three of us should discuss what we think about this.
Yeah.
So, Jung, you haven't talked at all. What is your opinion on the impeachment?
So
It's a very long and arduous process. I'm acting as the uninformed public, and I would like to say that I have no idea what is happening anymore. I don't even know who's at fault.
Okay. Hypothetical, gun to your head scenario.
Okay.
Which side do you believe?
Which side do I believe?
Yes. Someone's holding a gun to your head. Pick a side.
that's not gonna happen though.
I'm forcing Jung to make a decision. Would it help if I
Be like
held
Mr.
finger
Weinstein.
guns?
Say you don't deal with hypotheticals.
I don't deal with hypotheticals, but but considering he's got his fingers stuck to my face with the shape of a gun, I think I'm gonna take the Democrat side.
Oh,
here.
now he's stroking your face. Now that got weird.
Yeah, that got too weird at the end there. Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
So why did you tend to agree with the Democrat side?
Well, it's because I am in fact a Democrat, and also like there's a lot of things that Trump has said that that contradicts his own points a lot of the time, and I genuinely think that this is one of those times where he's just gonna accidentally out himself in the middle of a trial.
Okay. Caroline Postiali?
Yes.
What is
That's
your opinion?
not my name. Okay. Wait, what are we talking about?
The impeachment.
Well,
What's your-
yes,
what's
but
your opinion?
which part of it? Because there's
Which part do you have an opinion on?
all of it.
Then discuss all of it.
Okay, well, that's gonna take forever. Okay, so basically, the whole thing with. Wait, I need to form complete sentences in my head. Well, at the end result, I agree with President Trump being impeached. Obviously, I'm biased because I don't like him, but
I mean, most people don't, honestly.
That's a hasty generalization, as
Yeah.
we learned about in TOK.
wow.
Wow.
Here, IB people, if you're listening, we do TOK and we're smart.
Are
Please
we,
give me an A in my essay.
Are we smart? Are we smart? I don't think we're smart. I don't think we're that smart.
Okay, so
Is it still recording?
Yeah.
hello. Yes, it is.
The
You see, it went like that.
Moving though.
It's because I'm zoomed out.
Oh.
It's because I'm zoomed out. I'm trying to see how the audio levels are right now.
Okay, so back to the topic at hand.
That was me yelling.
Yes,
Okay,
it was.
anyway.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Congratulations.
I'm focusing.
Parmesan.
So,
Back to where we were.
what were we on?
You were talking about how you don't like Donald J. Trump.
Oh, yeah. Donald John Trump. Not my favorite person in the world, I will admit. And I had a sentence.
Well, then say it.
I will shank you. Okay. So, back in, August when this started, right? Wasn't it, August or July?
I believe July is when the Democrats announced that they were researching an impeachment bid.
When did the phone call with the Ukrainian Prime Minister?
That was
when
in
did
July.
That was in July? Okay. So, this has been 6 months in the making, right? And when the impeachment, or when news of Donald Trump's misconduct first came out in August, I was not 100% sure what side I was on, but as we've gotten into the impeachment and as new evidence has come and as people have testified and as people have what's that girl's name? The ambassador. Do you know what the ambassador's name? What's the ambassador? Marie Yovanovitch?
She was the ambassador.
Yeah, when she
Okay.
testified, and then just recently a tape came out from 2018 of Trump talking to one of his advisors about how he had to get her out of office.
Who was the one who testified today?
Ambassador to the EU testified today,
Yeah,
but they showed his testimony today.
Well, and that colonel, is that the dude? Vindman?
Vindman, yes.
Vindman? Is that the...
He is the he's like the big cheese in regards to the U.S. military strategy in Ukraine.
Okay. Well, he testified too, and then a whole bunch of Republican senators came after him and were, like, basically not calling him, like, not a patriot and stuff like that, and the Pentagon had to step in and, like, oh God, I don't remember. I read all this stuff and I don't remember.
Yeah, Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, he's the top specialist on Ukraine for the National Security Council.
He's believed to have listened in to the call. Okay. Because a whole bunch of Republican senators were calling him unpatriotic and that he was going against his oath of office as a as a member of
the armed forces.
The armed forces.
About that?
Wait, let me find the news article.
Now, if I'm correct, yes, and it's important to remember that the oath of commissioned officers doesn't mention the president. The oath of commissioned officers specifically says that they will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Which. Okay, here.
Yes, the president is not mentioned in the oath of commissioned officers.
Republican Senator Marsha Blackburn was tweeting about him on Twitter. She questioned the Purple Heart recipient's patriotism and repeated the unfounded claim that he had leaked knowledge of Trump's July 25th phone call with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky to the whistleblower, whose complaint initially prompted the investigation into the president's conduct. So, in the beginning of August, when the whole whistleblower the whistleblower complaint came out, they were just investigating the president's conduct. The impeachment wasn't actually happening yet. Mm-hmm. And it says, quote, how patriotic is it to badmouth and ridicule our great nation in front of Russia, America's greatest enemy?
Vindman is a Purple Heart winning lieutenant colonel.
Yes.
Purple Heart awarded.
Yes.
Winning. You don't win a Purple Heart. That's not how that
works.
That's
not at all. And the Pentagon issued a statement. Oh my God. This article is not organized well.
If you can't tell, dear listeners,
we're in fact really, really engaged, and we know a lot of stuff, and we've researched this really well.
And we're not, just reading these articles.
No.
Just
live.
Live for you and for me. And
so this brings us to something else we could talk about.
Okay.
A big part of the modern day political climate involves a lot of ad hominem attacks.
Mm-hmm.
Both sides are guilty of this. What is everyone's thoughts on this? We'll start with the uninformed Jung.
Mm-hmm. So all about the ad hominems and whatever.
For example, like we were just talking about, the senator was calling Lieutenant Colonel Vindman unpatriotic.
Yeah.
For his statements.
Yeah. Well, ad hominems have just been like a part of politics for like forever, but I feel like sometimes those things are kind of uncalled for, especially in cases like these where a person's character shouldn't be attacked just because their views are different than yours. I hope that made sense.
No, yes, yeah.
It does. So you said when their views differ from yours, is there a point at which...
That was mine, sorry.
Oh. Is there a point at which they would be personal attacks would be acceptable? Are they always bad? Are they unproductive but inherent in the system? Are they productive? Does it matter the ethics? I'd like you to dig into this a bit more.
Well, I'm just going to straight up say that ad hominems are not necessary at all. Like, you shouldn't be attacking somebody's character. You should be attacking their policies and their, like, you know, actual, like, viewpoints instead of what they are, whatever they may be. Unless they're, like, I don't know, like a pedophile or something, then yeah, I guess you could criticize them for that.
Okay, so aside from the clearly badness of being a pedophile, what's differentiates? Where's that line where, okay, it's okay to criticize someone for this versus, no, you should just focus on their points? Where would you put that line?
I feel like... So, if it's just to further your own political gains, and it doesn't concern, like, an actual, like, law being broken or anything like that, then I don't think ad hominems are necessary in those cases. But if it's, like, an actual, like, genuine, like, well-researched, like, attack about, like, somebody, like, breaking the law, then I feel like that is perfectly justifiable in that case.
Okay. So, I'm going to connect this back to something you said earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah.
He comes up all of the time because he's like a mimetic virus.
The man, the myth,
What
the
is it?
the embodiment of ad hominem.
What is it about him specifically that you don't like? That's not just that it could fall into the vein of ad hominem.
Well, I just generally don't like his policies on
Such as
how he handled, you know, the NAFTA agreements in China and all that, and the fact that he just straight up refused to go to the Paris Climate Accord. That is just unacceptable.
Pull us out of the Paris Climate Agreement.
That is just unacceptable. Our planet is dying, and then this, like, orange dude in office is just, like, saying, nah.
Yeah.
Okay, what about McGirdle the Turtle, Mitch McConnell?
I genuinely don't know a lot about Mitch McConnell.
What's your opinion on Mitch McConnell?
Well, let me just do some. I don't know enough about him to make a good opinion about him.
Okay.
So
that's a fair statement.
So I'm just gonna go ahead and just stay neutral in that aspect.
Okay. Now I'm gonna turn to Posty Alley here.
Oh
who's
my god.
been happy to sit here quietly.
I am happy to sit here quietly.
Sorry. What is your take on
ad hominem?
Ad hominems.
So, I think, like Jung said about how it's kind of like been a standard in politics for a really long time is to just call out your opponent for being like an other or being different from what your base likes, whether that be calling someone a fascist, or if you're a Democrat and your base is made up of really
or like back in the day when people would call somebody out for having an affair with like a mistress.
Mm-hmm. Yes. But I feel like it's just not productive. And I know that me saying that, sitting here as a 17-year-old girl and not being a politician, not having any real like political power, is not going to change the fact that people are going to call each other names on Twitter. But in a perfect world,
Twitter might be called police to call others names.
Yeah,
that's you know just
that's
an obvious
90% of tweets.
Yeah. But like in a perfect world, I feel like it would just be more productive, and it's like it's degenerative.
Degenerative.
Yes, it's degenerative to general American politics to ignore people's political opinions, and when you don't agree with them, start attacking them as a person, because maybe their policy is bad and you disagree with it for a good reason, but attacking them as a person is not going to change anyone else's mind, if that makes sense. So when you switch gears and you start to poke holes in their policy and in their actual arguments, obviously there are a lot of political issues that can't be solved that way, but with, I think, some of the bigger things, it's hard to take politics it's hard to not take politics personally, but I think if people can step back from it and realize that attacking people is less productive than attacking policy, then it'll be, because making bills takes so freaking long.
So
I bleeped that out. That takes so long.
Okay, so yeah. I do have something to ask you.
Okay.
You're talking about, you feel people should not talk about people's character and focus more on policy.
Yes. It's because they're uninformed. People attack people's character because they're uninformed.
At what point does the character influence the policy?
A lot.
So is it not important to take into account someone's character?
It is important to take into account someone's character and like their belief structures, because obviously that's going to influence their policies and how they view the world and what political party they support and all that. But instead of saying, I don't agree with you because you're an evangelical Christian or whatever, or like you're a bigot or something, which is valid for a lot of people and is, I mean, if I don't agree with you because of X thing that like you yourself have, I don't know how to say this, like, because people's characters influence their politics, you can bring attention to people's characters by attacking their policies, but not attacking their characters directly, if that makes sense. So, like, instead of alienating that person's base or that political party by attacking that candidate or attacking the party, if you attack the politics, then I feel like at least I am more likely to listen to someone who is not just like spouting off nonsense on Twitter or otherwise, someone who's not spouting off nonsense about like, this person did this in 2017 and therefore their opinion is invalid and stuff like that. Like,
that's also a logical fallacy, right? Like, just because they did something wrong like back then, that doesn't mean that their like character like hasn't changed.
Yeah.
Okay. Actual example here. Brett Kavanaugh. So.
Yes.
High school accusations of sexual assault.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people were saying that deems him unjust, unfit for the position.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That has nothing to do with his policies or his politics.
Right.
How does that abide with this?
Well, that's where you run into a problem because, like, Clarence Thomas, who's also on the Supreme Court, went through practically the same process back in whenever, I don't know when he was.
03.
Yeah. Clarence Thomas went through the same thing with Anita Hill, who was accusing him of sexual assault, and they still placed him on the Supreme Court. And I think that while I understand the concept of, like, theoretically... Actually, this goes into another thing that I think is a problem, which is politics in the judicial system and, like, electing people into like, judges into office based on their political ideology, which I don't think is how you should do that. Hey.
Okay, so Paul the Jesus Boy has just walked in.
Yes.
He's here for
yes, our resident Jesus
we will be
man.
doing after we record the podcast.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you hear him making noise in the background, that's who he is.
Yes.
Yes.
Now
You can chime in if you want.
You were saying, Miss Pastiali.
What was I saying?
You were talking about Clarence Thomas.
Okay.
Yes.
So basically, Brett Kavanaugh had to go through, or I don't know him, but the same thing happened with Brett Kavanaugh that happened with Clarence Thomas, and they are both Republican justices, which I don't like how people put... I mean, the Supreme Court is... I know that it's inherently like a political appointment, and it's like because it makes it rules on laws, and presidents appoint people because they want certain laws in place and certain laws to not be in place. And the whole thing with him being appointed is that people really wanted to get Roe v. Wade. What's the word? When is
repealed?
Repealed. Yes, thank you.
In case anyone doesn't know, Roe v. Wade is the Supreme Court case that determined that abortions were legal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another huge hot button issue. Is
Yes.
whether or not that should be repealed or not.
Yes.
So that comes down to personal choices and character.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that's the problem is... So, okay, wait. This has been all over the place. My overarching point is that Clarence Thomas and Brett Kavanaugh were elected, or I guess not elected, they were appointed onto the Supreme Court because they were Republican justices, and they're being appointed by a Republican-controlled Senate, which is just... That's just the bottom line, is they wouldn't have been appointed if there wasn't a Republican president and a Republican Senate. It wouldn't have happened. And I think that is when you need to draw the line between character and politics, because even if you are... So, like, imagine for a second that Barack Obama appointed Brett Kavanaugh, say he was Democratic. Say Brett Kavanaugh was a Democrat and Barack Obama appointed him.
Merrick Garland, or Neil Gorsuch.
Yes, well, but I'm saying, if he had been Democratic and there had been a democratically controlled Senate, Brett Kavanaugh would still be on the Supreme.
So you're saying that the party will...
It's the party. It's not the person. It's because people don't. It's stupid, but politicians don't really care. If you're in the majority and the person who's being appointed agrees with your politics, people don't care. And I know that this is kind of I don't know if this is a controversial opinion, but I feel like if there was a Democratic Supreme Court nominee that had gotten through the Senate Judiciary Committee, had gotten through the Senate Judiciary Committee and got it through onto the floor and been appointed onto the Supreme Court, and had the same experiences as Brett Kavanaugh, and had someone come out against their appointment because of a sexual assault or because of harassment allegations, I feel like they still would be on the Supreme Court, and Democrats would be like, oh, it happened years ago, you don't even know if she's telling the truth, all that, and he would still be on the Supreme Court. And then the Republicans would be the ones that are saying, yeah, but this isn't fair, and why would we want someone on the court who's potentially acts like that and who has had a history of behavior like that. And so I don't even think it's a party thing. I think it's just people taking advantage of the what's politicalness, but not politicalness.
The fervor?
No,
the
the innate partisanship that comes with the Supreme Court nominations, because the thing that is most important to those politicians is not is not appointing someone that has a good character and that will be a good force on the Supreme Court. The point is to appoint someone who agrees with their politics and who is not going to repeal their laws and declare their laws unconstitutional.
Okay, so you said that because the parties want to appoint, they don't care about what would do good, but only who would agree with their policies.
In my opinion.
But don't the parties structure their policies based on what they think would be good for the country?
Yes, but I think that's different than character. Wait, can you say that again?
So no one mustache twirling cartoon villains don't exist. No one
Yeah.
wakes up in the morning and says, I'm going to oppress minorities because it's
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ooh, love
People-
that.
Yeah.
And everyone's the hero of their own story.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So people don't rationalize things as I'm doing this because I'm mean. They rationalize it as I'm doing this because it will help do good things for my country, my people,
Yes.
my nation, whatever.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So when the parties appoint people to the Supreme Court who they believe would do good,
Yes.
and that allies with the party's policies because that's what they think is best for the nation.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Maybe I didn't clarify what I was saying. I agree with that's basically what I'm saying is that if they're they're appointing people to the Supreme Court because they have made rulings in the past, whether it be at the federal level, at the state level, or in whatever district that they that the judges preside over. In order to become a justice, they look at your judicial background and they make decisions based on whether or not they think you will rule in a certain way to bend the tide of the country's legal system to one way or another. And it doesn't matter what you've done or maybe what you didn't do. It just matters whether you'll vote with them.
So it's not so much if I can chime in.
Yeah.
No, Paul, you
No,
cannot.
Paul, you cannot.
Yes.
No
Yes.
opinions allowed.
So
This is an opinionless zone.
Yeah.
so it's not so much a matter of character in the sense when you say character, you're not so much meaning character in policy as opposed to personal character,
Yes.
the character that they display in their day-to-day livelihood.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
The point is not to saying people that'll do good. I mean people who will
Align with the
be
party.
no they don't appoint people to the Supreme Court that'll be a good coworker, right? They don't take people that will treat everyone well or they don't base appointments based on how well they work with other people or whether or not they've assaulted people or whether or not they're going to be polite when they're on the bench or whether they're going to speak when they're on the bench. Clarence Thomas has asked 3 questions the entire time he's been on the Supreme Court. And they went on a span of 12 years of silence or something like that. He literally did not say a word for 12 years. And that's not very productive. That's a tangent anyway.
Well, yeah, that's a tangent.
So they don't elect people based on whether other people will like them or whether they'll treat their staff well and stuff like that. I mean, as senators, maybe you have an inside information and you know people's personal character, but at the end of the day, the underlying thing is the big thing was Brett Kavanaugh is the 5th vote that the conservatives need to swing the Supreme Court in order to make Roe v. Wade unconstitutional. And it wasn't about whether or not he'd assaulted someone, and people, I don't really think people cared. If there was a Democratic appointment and that person they were trying to pass some immigration some
So you're saying
wide
if it was
scope
flipped,
yeah
the same
some
thing would've
wide
happened.
scoped immigration law that was really controversial and struck really deep with a whole bunch of Democratic voters, they still would have been appointed, in my opinion.
Okay.
I don't think either party has the moral high ground to say, well, that wouldn't happen with us.
So we're reaching the 35-minute mark. So do we want to close
Wait,
up on
Rick hasn't said anything.
You
haven't answered
Yes.
your opinion.
Yeah, well, so what's your question?
Yeah.
So what's your opinion on your own question?
Yeah.
What were my questions?
On ad hominems and characters.
And
stuff
Brett
like that.
Kavanaugh.
So I feel
Apparently Brett Kavanaugh.
ad hominems are inherent in politics.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And while I would like it if we focused on policy issues, what's really more important is whether or not people think the person they're putting in office will agree with what they agree, whether they have the same reality assumptions that the person voting does.
Reality assumptions, man. You're starting to sound like a TOK. You're starting to sound like a TOK paper.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Dr. Miller has ruined me. I can only call these things. It is a curse.
Miller or Weinstein?
Miller.
What?
So, my opinion is they're like the roses on the thorn.
I apologize. There's a meme being passed around the table here.
Of Congressman Adam Schiff.
With a
With
long
the
neck.
Pencil neck Schiff.
Can you send that to me so like when we
Yeah.
actually
Put it
edit
in the
this?
show notes.
Yeah, we're gonna put it in the show. Yes. Here it is on the screen right now.
Yes.
If that is in fact on the screen.
In case you want a watermark of where like our social milieu of IB was in 2020, this is it.
I can't. Wait.
So to finish up my piece, I believe it's like the thorns on the roses.
Mm-hmm.
It's there whether you like it or not. You just have to work with them, because if you work against them, you're gonna get stabbed.
Right.
Excellent analogy.
All right, and I think are we calling it there, folks?
Are we gonna call it there for the impeachment or the entire thing?
We don't have to do one whole thing.
We can record other
Yeah.
bits later.
Yeah.
All right.
So we're just doing a sign off. So the
Yes.
water has come to a boil. It is time to make the pasta.
Yes.
We are going to sign off.
It is time to make the
I-
lovely, lovely
a little
pasta.
bit-
Today.
I-
No, I'm describing the pasta. Today, we're going
Okay, is this like a regular thing? Do y'all
Yeah.
like?
Okay, today the pasta is going to be some nice long bucatini pasta. Those are for those of you who are uncultured. No, it's bucatini.
Ah, there it is.
It's a nice hollow pasta, and it's kind of like a thick spaghetti with a hole in it. And the good thing about bucatini is that because it's hollow, it can soak up a whole bunch of sauces. So, with that in mind, the bucatini will, fry it up. Don't fry it. You're gonna cook it up, and then you're gonna put some marinara sauce, olives, artichokes, capers, etc. Nice savory umami flavor. And the pasta will soak up all the juice. That's the pasta dish for today. With carciofis. That's Italian for artichoke, in case you didn't know. That's
Thank
fun
you, Miss
fact.
Ramsey.
Yeah.
Anyway, I have been Rick.
I am Caroline. I'm not have been.
And I'm John.
And the random person who walked in is Paul. He doesn't get to say his own name.
Yeah.
Thank
no,
you
you're
for
not-
joining
you're not
us.
Yeah.
important.
Stop the recording.
Bye
Jared.
bye. Go make pasta.